Welcome to I Rise Conversations with Joan. Welcome to another inspiring episode of I Rise Conversations with Joan. Today, we have the privilege of introducing a remarkable guest, Sharon Banyas Hefetz. She's a dedicated mindset coach, an accomplished entrepreneur, and a published author who has made it her life's mission to empower women to realize their full potential. Her journey is a testament to her unwavering commitment to helping others achieve balance, self-confidence, and authenticity. She believes in living guilt-free and inviting abundance into our lives by harnessing the power of mindset. As a firm believer in the law of attraction and intrigued by the principles of quantum physics, she emphasizes that our thoughts shape our reality and that we always have the power of choice. With her experience as a mother of three, her coaching approach blends personal insights with proven strategies. Her mission is very clear: to serve as a catalyst for women, assisting them in building productive, harmonious lives by reconnecting with themselves and rediscovering their true selves and achieve their greatest desires. Welcome, Sharon, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Joan.
Excited to have you here. It's nice and early in the morning.
Yes, I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking all things mindset, the amazing work that you do. But let's go back to your own personal journey. So what was it that really led you on this path? What was it, something transformational that happened, or was it just a journey throughout life that got you to this point where now you're a mindset coach and helping other people with their own journeys?
Well, I was an entrepreneur. I started my life when you go out into the world in your 20s.
Yeah.
When I finished the army in Israel, it's mandatory. Went out, felt like a free spirit, went out to conquer the world. I started my entrepreneurial journey, thought I could do anything I wanted, and went out to just do and try, and had my own business, had a business with friends. Later on in life, had a business with my husband today. I felt like a superwoman, running the sales team, running the businesses. And really, that's when I kind of learned law of attraction a little bit, started working with my sales team on, okay, we're going to manifest this. And it was just me and them trying it out. Let's try a sale of this and this, and kind of just getting into the mindset. Then, life started. First baby, it was exciting. It gave me meaning to life. It kind of took all the meaning I thought I had and kind of threw that out, pushed that aside for a second, and gave me real meaning into this world. Second baby, I kind of started losing myself a bit in between the juggle. But again, like, you suddenly discover you have a whole nother heart for each child that comes along. It's like, you never know how you're going to split your time, but you don't. You just have another whole heart coming along. And over time, I just realized I was burnt out. I was, how they say, like, I had a little bit of blood in my caffeine system, kind of. I was running on caffeine, trying to do everything, juggle everything, be perfect at everything. And things were going a little bit, not in the business side and not on the family side, but for me, I felt like I was going a little bit downhill. I kind of lost who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. And that happens that throughout my work, I see it happen to, I want to say all mamas, but it happens to a lot of mamas. And with the third baby, I was just in autopilot mode, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And that was like a wake-up call. And I felt like I needed meaning for my purpose more, and to find out what that was again. And I'm a spiritual growth junkie, so I always research and learn and learn and learn, and I just need my brain to soak in as much as possible. And it was about rediscovering myself and finding that way in order to know me again, basically. Because I remember my husband telling me, even like, I read this article, and I gave him the stare of death, like, an article? How do you have time to even read an article? Like, even find the article that you want to read. How do you even get there? Like, what is something you want to read? And it was just so hard. And I started my coaching journey because I realized that I was doing it through my coaching, my entrepreneurial business. I was just coaching people towards what they wanted in order to get success. It was easier for me to put my attention on others, always. So through their success, that's how my business became successful. But again, it took me away from who I was and what I wanted. But it did help me discover my purpose, which I was doing anyway, being a mindset coach.
Yeah.
And I started seeking how to get myself back up and how to reconnect to myself and rediscover myself. And I figured out a process of the different techniques and different framework. And of course, owning down back into the law of attraction and really creating the life I desire, creating my life through the thoughts that I'm thinking, creating my reality. And I built a framework to help all those mamas that I've been working with to kind of rediscover and reconnect to their authentic self, because I feel that that is that missing part. It's just like that thread that's supposed to stay connected with us throughout the journey of motherhood. When we start our motherhood journey, we take care of everyone. That's what we're supposed to do. We go through different stages. You start with accepting the circumstances, and once you accept the circumstances, you're just there in order to be the giving tree and the protector and the nurturer. And your mind goes into this survival mode. And I feel today that it needs to, because we need to guide that little baby into the fact that it needs to live, it needs to survive. We need to foresee every corner of every table and every cup that may spill and every danger that may be, even the tiniest things. In order to make sure that they survive, food schedules, what are they eating? How are they eating? Are they strong? Are they independent? Are we being a helicopter mom too much? Are we not? Are we letting go? Or so many thoughts, but our thoughts are not ours anymore after years and years and years, depending how many babies, or
Going for many, many years. But
yeah.
So I know that we're talking about mothers now because they're a unique niche of people, but I think everybody in midlife at some point, life is over and there's just so much going on. You're just trying to juggle so many balls and just stay afloat. The world is a scary place to live in today. And so, like you're saying, people get stuck in this almost like a rat race, like a hamster wheel. We're just doing, most people are just on autopilot. And yet, deep down inside, you probably know that, okay, there's something missing. There's something I'm supposed to be doing. Is this it? There's got to be more. I'm losing myself. Who am I? Who did I used to be? I don't even remember who that person is. So you're helping people to rediscover who they truly are, live in their authenticity. But to do that, you have to know who you are. You have to go back and find who you are. It doesn't mean that life stops. No, you still do all the things that you're currently doing, but it's important that as women and as humans, period, we all need to find ourselves and live in our authenticity. So you did mention law of attraction and how thoughts shape our reality. Some people may have never heard of these concepts or know what it is. So if you could just briefly explain what law of attraction is, and especially when you say things like your thoughts are what shape your reality. What does that mean in practical terms?
So basically, first of all, yes, I agree with everything you're saying, especially like in midlife, and it doesn't matter if it's men, women, parents or not parents. We get into this rat race of just going on autopilot and kind of running through life that, and in order to juggle all that, we disconnect from ourselves. So yes, and back to those thoughts that are creating our reality. It sounds to a lot of people like an abstract, like a theory. But let's take it down to the basic things. Like, you know how when your morning goes wrong and you start your day wrong, it kind of your whole day kind of follows that direction. For example, you press snooze too many times, which made you wake up at the last moment, which made you rush into things, which made you drop some things on the way, which made you, I don't know, run into a corner, and everything became a little bit more aggravating. And then you left the house like at the last minute, and now you're stuck in traffic, which every day you may be stuck in traffic, but today, today, the traffic is the worst thing in the world, because that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're experiencing, and that's what we're feeling. And we go on, and someone cuts you off on the street, and you have loads of blessings to give him, you know? And if you start, yeah, exactly. You could give the whole package of blessings out onto him. But on a day, because those are like those are the glasses that you're wearing that day. And all you see and all that's going to come out, because we're in that frustrated mood maybe, and that morning started wrong, that's what is going to come out to us. That's what it's like, putting on glasses that see only blue, and blue are the frustrating things. Yeah. So every time you're going to drive around, you're going to see that person that cuts you off. And maybe on a different day, when you started your morning peacefully and you had a cup of coffee and maybe outside in the garden, and you drove one out on time and you drove to work and you were in that exact traffic jam, but you put on something nice to listen to, and someone cut you off. And when he cut you off, you're like, peace on to you, sir. And may you get to your, destiny peacefully and with love. And I hope you're hurrying to something good. I don't know, but you have room. Your brain has more room and acceptance. It accepts the situations around you better. And you have room to think differently. It's like you have those pink glasses on, and suddenly everything you're driving and seeing is much, much nicer. And suddenly that person that cracks a joke, he's funny and he's not annoying, So basically, when we're saying our thoughts create our reality, it can start from how our morning starts and move on. But it can also, we repeat our thoughts multiple times. They say we have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and that 95% of them are subconscious and repetitive. So meaning 95% of everything we think, we don't even know what we're thinking about. That's how to make our coffee, how to tie our shoe, how to get dressed, how to, like, things that we do already on automatic. Yeah. Because our brain puts less power into it. That's how our brain conserves energy. So it puts things on autopilot, whatever it can. So 95% of that goes into autopilot, but 80% is negative. They found that 80% of our thoughts, that's 48,000 thoughts a day, are just negative. And it doesn't matter even if you cut it in half, that's 24,000 thoughts, it doesn't, but and the problem is we're not even aware of them many times. We're not aware of the fact that I woke up and I went, another day in the morning,
Yeah.
right? And that started my negativity. That started that cycle of negativity in my thoughts. And sometimes if we're able to hold that for another 5 minutes, for another 10 minutes, for another, we're already rippling a different effect throughout our day. We're already able to see something different. We're already able to accept, because someone tells you a compliment, someone gives you a compliment, you walk back and you're like, wow, that was so nice again. And you're walking around smiling and everything like that. And that made you think of another nice thought and another nice thought and another nice thought, even within those 5 minutes after the compliment. But those 5 minutes had hundreds and hundreds of thoughts in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all affected with a more positive vibe. And that little positive vibe kind of rippled on to other things and other things, and maybe even gave you a little bit more confidence. Maybe someone complimented your appearance and you were suddenly walking a little straighter, and then, walking down the street feeling like, yeah, I look good today. But it affects, our thoughts affect everything. And they create neural pathways and hardwires in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And our thoughts, repetitive thoughts, become habits. And habits that repeat themselves become beliefs. And beliefs that repeat themselves affect our actions. They affect our behavior. They affect our decisions. And it brings to experiences that we chose through that glasses that we put on in the morning. And of course, some people start their day horrible and it flips to a different thing. I'm just saying, like, giving that scenario so you kind of understand and can visualize it. So our thoughts just influence our actions. Our actions shape our experiences. And these experiences, they feed back our thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's basically how it works, how it continues to nurture itself.
Mm-hmm.
And, as we said, a negative thought brings along a friend that goes on to a feeling and another feeling and another. And it could be towards yourself or it could be towards others. It could be like put you in a judgmental place towards yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then all day you're like, oh, I can't believe you did that. And then see, look what you're doing. Look at that. And this is not working. And then you're really, really, really putting yourself down. And sometimes, and especially, I'm sorry, I'm going back to mothers, but especially as mothers or as caretakers, it doesn't mean mothers, I'm talking people that nurture others. We are so judgmental of ourselves because we want to be perfect for them. We want to do good for them. And we take the responsibility that we have over others comes with so much judgment. And sometimes we're not, instead of empowering ourselves to give more and to do more, we're giving ourselves that vibe and makes us feel powerless and unworthy. And we start, over years, we start believing that about ourselves. And it starts hardwiring in our brain. And it can affect our whole well-being. It can affect our whole overall way that we see ourselves. And when we see ourselves that way, that's how we're going to judge the world too.
Yeah.
And so everyone around us gets a little piece of our mind, right?
Yeah. And so it's very interesting how you've painted this picture of a cycle where, people might just think, oh, I was just having a bad morning and just write it off. But what you're explaining is the more you have these kind of thoughts, the more it becomes a habit, it becomes your belief system, it becomes who you are essentially. And then you get more of that stuff. Then you keep blaming. So you fall into this victim mode where it's not me, it's her, she made me do this. But we are in control of our thoughts. So, but again, you did say that 95% of our thoughts are running on autopilot in the background. So how can because again, I think everybody in the world was created victim mindset. someone is doing it. Everything, the world is happening to you. You're not controlling the world. I didn't create when I was born. I didn't create the family I was born into. I didn't create the government system that we have today. I didn't create inflation. I didn't da. There's everything happening to you. That's how most of us were raised. But now you're telling us of a different concept of philosophy where we can actually start to reshape the world, create the reality that we want, and it all starts with our thoughts. But again, 95% of these thoughts are not even ours. We don't control them. So how can we start to take back this power? How can we use the power of the law of attraction or the controlling of thoughts? How can we start controlling our thoughts so that we can create our realities? Are there some techniques that you can share?
Yeah, so I just want to say that the victim mentality is due to, a lot of time, it's mostly due to the fact that we become in that stress mode, that we become in that survival mode. When we're just working on autopilot and we're surviving, our body knows how to be in two different stages. It can be in survival mode or it can be in creation mode. Now, survival mode is that, you know, we need to eat, we need to do, we need to do, we need to take care of business, we need to move on, you know, that rat race that you were saying, that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
But what we're not realizing is that when we think that way, when we think that we're in survival, that means in our head somewhere that we're being attacked, right? Because if we're trying to survive from something, what are you trying to survive from? From something that you may be under attack.
Yes.
Right? So when you're constantly feeling that you may be under attack, first of all, you're constantly in defense as well. You're constantly blaming, because what are you going to continue to blame yourself? Makes no sense, right? He did it. I didn't do it. He did it. You know, he wore that shirt today and that was not okay, you know? And on other days, again, when we're thinking differently, when we have those different glasses on our eyes, we could be like, he's wearing that. He probably forgot. We just translate things differently. When we're in survival mode, we translate it as a victim, which means we're looking why are we looking for who to blame? Because we're looking, who's our predator right now? Like, who's after me, right? So we're like, he's after me and the government's after me and my boss is after me. But if we're not in survival mode, we're not a victim and we're not there. We have no one to blame. And you were saying something that we don't control our thought, but they are our thoughts. We don't control them. We're not aware of them, but we do need to differentiate that these are ours. They are thoughts that are ours, that we put on repeat. So there's a few things, like for the victim mode, what I always love suggesting is a tiny change that I started with was, instead of I have to, I have to do blah, blah, blah. Now it's, I want to, I choose to. And if you can't say I want to, because you really don't want to.
I don't want to pay the bills.
Right, exactly. I choose to. Because, for example, you, Joan, you choose to pay the bills. Why do you choose to pay the bills? Because you want electricity, because you want heat, because you want air conditioning, because you want running water, because you want, right? So in theory, you want to pay the bills, right? But we always have that mode of, we have to, I have to do the dishes now. No. And I started testing that out at home. I was like, I have to do the dishes. For me, it was the dishes. I dislike the dishes.
It's laundry.
Oh my God, yeah. So it's like, I have to. And then I looked at them and I said, okay, you know what? Free spirit. Let's not do it. And I looked at them and I was like, I don't have to do the dishes today. I'm just gonna let them sit right there. and I walked out and I continued my things and I didn't do them. And I said, wow, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. But later on, I really wanted to because it was a mess, I wanted to. But that allowed me to kind of bring myself to the point of, I choose to do the dishes. But I can choose, I'm allowing myself to choose when. And those are the little things. Like knowing that you have choice within the no choice area. And your choices, basically, everything starts in our mind. Everything starts in our thoughts. Everything starts in the way that we translate things and in the way that we word them, the story that we tell ourselves. So once we change that story, instead of my boss is out to get me, maybe not even say, wow, what an amazing person he is if he's not, but just like kind of shifting it a tiny bit, like probably had a bad day today, and walk away. Understand that it has nothing to do with you. So a few things that we can get out of that victim mentality is basically, I choose to instead of I have to. Another thing is, nothing's personal. The government did not wake up and say, hey, Shawn, I got you today. Wait and see, coming right after you. No, they did not have me in mind. I am not that significant to them. Maybe significant to my kids and to others, but not to them.
The government, no.
And that person that came in and cracked a joke was just in a, had that smart attitude that he always has, and it had nothing to do with me. Why? Because his father, or because his mother taught him that, or because he had a friend that once said things like that and he thought it was really funny. Or it could be so many things. Maybe he hit his toe right before he saw you, and he got really, really, really mad. But it has nothing to do with you. So these separations were things that were crucial for me. It was nothing's personal, really nothing. Like even the closest person, even my daughter, when she comes back in a bad mood, sometimes I'm like, hey, I try to be all sunshine when they come home for them to see, happy. And then they come in like, and I'm like, and it used to bum me out. And I was like, it has nothing to do with me. It could be so many things that they're going through. And I learned, like, once I see someone that's coming in with a different vibe than what I have, or a different vibe than what I want, I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. They're coming. You stop for a second and you say, reevaluate the situation, reevaluate this little segment in the day. It's like, they came in from outside in a bad mood, had nothing to do with me. This is what's going to happen. I am not going to take it personally. And you kind of wrap yourself in this beautiful, nice silk veil, or whatever feels comfortable, gold aura, whatever you want to feel it, whatever feels good for you. And then you're kind of like, put that protective layer on you, and you're like, maybe if I'm feeling it, I'll ask them how they're doing later. And maybe not, but it's not related to me. And I do not have to do the dishes. I want to do the dishes because they start smelling after a while. Like, well, I want my kids to wear clean clothes if it's the laundry or whatever it is. But it's just those shifting and taking responsibility. And not about life and other people. Taking responsibility on your thoughts. The way you're translating things, on the story that you're telling yourself. And what stories are you repeating to others? That was another big thing. I'll give my daughter as a story, as an example. She comes home one day and she was telling me about this girl that kept annoying her and was saying this to her and this to her and this to her. And I said, well, did you get up and move to the side? Like, did you change seats? And she was like, nope. And I was like, what if that was a fly? If that fly kept coming to you and you'd be like dealing with it all day, all lunch, Your whole story after that was, how was lunch? Would be, oh, there was this annoying fly and da 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 da, right? But if you suddenly got up and moved, maybe your story would have been about the conversation that you had with a friend. Or maybe your story would have been how funny that friend cracked a joke and I was available to listen. And then you repeat that story every time someone asks you, how's your lunch? How was lunch? You're not telling about that annoying fly. And you could take that fly to your boss too. You could take that fly to any person or anything in your life story. But like when you suddenly move away from that fly, sometimes you're able to see the jokes and able to see the flowers and able to see the beautiful things around you and things like that. And when you're asked the question, you repeat a completely different story. So you're reliving a completely different story and you're not even going to remember that fly. He doesn't even exist anymore. You're like taking it out of your existence.
Wow. So like this is what you talk about when you say there's always a choice and being aware of the choices that we do have available. And I think again, going back to the victim mindset, when you're in victim mindset, you feel like you don't have a choice because you feel powerless. Oh, it's not, you don't know, she was in my face. Like she was right there. What was I supposed to do? But you just explained, you do have a choice. You don't have to stay or listen. You don't have to, what story are you telling yourself? Because we have this internal dialogue always happening and you're telling yourself stories and you're recreating. And every time you tell somebody else the story, then you're reliving the same thing. And again, the whole cycle, again, you get more of that and all of this. So I think this is really, really profound and very crucial for people to really understand when we're talking about the power of your thoughts and choices and you really being the decider and reframing some of these things. I have to, or I choose to, because that empowers you. You're now in control of what is happening, the thoughts that you're creating, the story you're telling yourself. You're choosing what is this 95%, like you were saying. Yes, we don't control the 95%, but we put the thoughts in there. Right. So now you're consciously making sure that you're putting in the type of thoughts that you want to be on constant repeat, because most of the thoughts are repeated. And that way you're creating a new reality for yourself. So
you create more of, exactly like you said,
yeah.
you create more of what you think about.
Yeah.
Because it has a ripple effect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for someone who's new to all of this and they're like, okay, first we're talking about law of attraction, now my thoughts, now I have a choice, now I have, this is so overwhelming, but I know that I'm in a place where I don't necessarily like my life the way it is today. Like everything is just like one fire after the other. It's this repeat of, challenges in life, negative things happening to me constantly. I do want to change. I do want a transformation in my life, but all of this stuff is a lot for me. What are some of the baby steps that people can start taking today so that they can have some of this mindset transformation that we're talking about?
There's so much, and I think that the basic part is first becoming aware of your internal dialogue. What are you telling yourself? What is that story before doing, before changing, before anything? What is that first thought you're giving yourself in the morning? What is that first thing you're waking up? Are you choosing that thought or are you on autopilot on that thought? So what is that first thought and how are you choosing to translate stories? How are you choosing to talk to yourself? Are you talking to yourself like you would talk to a friend? Like, let's say if something bad happens, you made a mistake. How are you reacting to yourself? Are you telling, because it all starts within us. It doesn't matter. Forget the world right now. We're creating our world. So if we want to create our world and all those things and thoughts and not take it personally, and then we need to start with ourselves. So the first thing would be kind of like a mistake happened. What would you tell your kid? What would you tell someone you love? Maybe you tell them, it's okay. Everyone make mistakes. Keep going. Did you learn how to do it next time better? Great. Keep going. And a lot of times we bully ourselves so bad.
Stupid. How could you?
Yeah, I can't believe you did that. Oh, how dumb, how fat, how stupid, how, like we have so many horrible blessings to give ourselves. We dish it out so easily to ourselves. But when we dish it out to ourselves, we're going to dish it out to the world. Even if it's just in our minds. And then everything looks darker and worse and things like that. So I would recommend, first of all, noticing our thoughts, noticing our internal dialogue. If you want to be an extra credit student, you can write them down sometimes. Try and notice, get a journal and like be like, ooh, today I said this to myself. And then just, is that nice? Is that nice? Is that what you would say to someone that you care about? And find those triggers, because sometimes we are in toxic environments. Some of these environments we can't choose, but some of them we can. And sometimes it's not about eliminating the bad from our life. It's just nurturing a little bit better, a little bit more good, meaning it's not about taking away all the negative thoughts. It's adding a few positive ones in there. It's not about, I'm not going to hang out with everyone that talks. No, but hang out with someone that also encourages you. It's not, it's all those things. Nothing has to be a huge change. I don't believe in big changes, because like in the beginning, because when we take baby steps and we just start with just awareness and be like, ooh, I am mean to me. Like, wow, that's like a first. Next time you say something, you will realize that you're saying it nicer. Or like at least you'll be like, don't say that, like I wasn't supposed to say that, but you'll be more aware. I think 50-60%, and don't get me on the percentage because it's not research based, but like the biggest chunk is becoming aware of things. Becoming aware of the story I'm telling, becoming aware of your inner dialogue, becoming aware of how you wake up in the morning, becoming aware of the people that are around you, becoming aware of your triggers, just noticing them. And then ask yourself, how can I add some sugar in there? How do I add some honey onto those moments? Like, okay, maybe it's, I'm not going to react when this person says it. Or maybe it's, I'm going to try every morning catch myself right before I say, oof, just take a deep breath and say, thank you, God, for opening my eyes this morning. I'm Jewish, so we have Modani, which is, I don't know how you say it in English, but I know you have it in the Bible and in English as well, where you think, and it's a sentence, but I encrypted it in my mind. So the first thing I say, the first thought I say is I take a deep breath and I say thank you. And I don't allow that, oh, I'm tired, to come into my mind before I say that thank you. So it's not about changing. It's about adding some honey.
Yeah, I like that, because a lot of the times we put ourselves, especially when people get exposed to these kind of messages, then you put yourself under so much pressure for this transformation. Oh, I have to do this 1,000 things. I have to relocate. I have to move to a different, I need to leave my family, leave my friends, leave my job. And then you get overwhelmed, and then you're like, oh, it's not working. Right. And then the cycle starts all over again. So I love this idea of baby steps, and really just starting with the awareness, noticing what your thoughts are. What are the things you're saying about yourself? Because those inner dialogues, like, trust me, we're mean to ourselves. We are, but sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. It's just on autopilot, auto repeat. So I love baby steps. Start with awareness, catch yourself, right? And I love that you also start your mornings with gratitude. Just one sentence, right? Of just saying, I'm grateful, I'm thankful for waking up, or whatever it is that's happening in your life. And just start your day out that way. That would really start to transform and shift your mindset into more of a positive mindset, so that, again, you can have the right thoughts to create the type of life that you want. Another thing that I know you talked about was inviting abundance into your life. I know when people hear abundance, they think, oh, it's just money. Abundance means money. Abundance doesn't necessarily mean money. So how can people have more abundance in their life? How can people attract? Now let's use the law of attraction. How can people attract more abundance into their lives?
That takes us back to the same exact story. It's all in the mind. It's all in the thoughts. It's all in believing. It's you. So the law of attraction basically says you ask, the universe will organize it for you, and then you receive. Very simple. But if I ask can mean positive or negative. Ask means, oh, I don't want, our brain, our subconscious mind does not know the difference between positive and negative. So if I say, oh, I don't want to be upset, right? I'm going to be more upset. It doesn't distinguish between the two. So it's wording the story. And that's exactly what I was going to say about what you said before. I was like, and becoming aware of the story that we're telling. So what is that story? It's telling the story that we do want, only what we do want. And of course, it's never going to be 100%. And we can't be religious about everything we do. And we can't turn our worlds around. But I started with the parking, like, or waking up, like programming my mind. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Not I want to, or I wish to, is I will wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m. or 10 to 6. And it took me a while, because it takes a while for you to notice the hints that your body's giving you, to notice, to become aware of, like, oh, I got chills. That means I need to wake up. And every time I would open my eyes, when I got those, like a heat wave coming down, it was like 10 to 6. I was like, okay, that's my sign. But basically, attracting the life you want is really focusing on what you want, focusing on the feeling, focusing on what it is you want with the emotion, and having them hand in hand. Meaning abundance is when I get a lot of love, a lot of gratitude, it could be money, it could be financial, but it could be just abundance, like just a flow of goodness into my life. And receiving that abundance is, first of all, being open to it. And a lot of times we have everything right around us, but we're not seeing it. Again, we're not putting on the right glasses. So we can't even pick that one out. We can't be like, oh, look, God, universe, whatever you want to source, gave me this baby smile, just so I'll smile right now. Like, we're not even noticing that smile, or a friend that smiled to us when we really, really need it. And that's abundance. That's like getting everything you need and knowing the fact that it's around you all the time. We're just not always open to accepting it and receiving it. So in other words, and to make it easier, just kind of thinking thoughts of what we want. Because if I say I want $1 million, and my next thought is, oh, I'm never really going to get $1 million. So you want $1 million? Okay, your wish is my command. Oh, I'm never going to get $1 million. Okay, your wish is my command. So it brings you back to that static state of not receiving anything. So what you need to try and do is kind of go general on things that you do believe. Start with things that you are able to believe. Things that if $1 million doesn't seem realistic right now, ditch the $1 million. That's not important right now. In order to start attracting things to my life, today's a really good day. Today is going to be an amazing day. Today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to smile. And everyone that's going to have an attitude around me, I'm not even going to notice them. I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to feel strong. today's a really, really, really good day. And when you start with that, then call me and tell me how that went. Start general. Start with things that are more that you're able to, that are not important. Today, someone's going to do something. Why do I say not important? Sorry. I don't mean they're not $1 million. $1 million. If I'm in debt right now, I cannot see $1 million come into my bank account. I can't imagine that really happen because I would need a magic wand for that.
Yeah.
Try and imagine things that you don't need a magic wand for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I'll talk to someone that I haven't spoken to a long time. And I will tell you, they will probably text you. They will probably text you. If not today, they'll text you tomorrow because it just kind of synchronizes and it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
So try and wish for a good day. Before you go to the store, try and visualize the parking spot that you're going to have. Oh, someone's just going to come out and move out of that place, and I'm just going to find a parking spot with ease. Think of ease. Think of fun. Think of happy. Think of peace. Think of having a good day. Think of having a good hour. Think of having significant relationships. Think of things like that, and you'll see it'll come to you because we're more open sometimes when we go more general and not specific. Like today at 5 o'clock, George is going to come and give me a flower, right?
Now you're checking the time every 5 minutes.
Right. Exactly. And you're not really bringing, because if you're checking the time every 5 minutes, you don't really believe he's going to come.
Yes.
So our mind kind of needs to flow with what we're thinking in order to attract it. So maybe like today I'm going to encounter a kindness. That would be the difference between today at 5, George is going to come with flowers. It would be like today I'm going to encounter kindness, and you'll see that suddenly you're going to be more kind as well. Because your thoughts, you're programming without noticing. You're programming your thoughts, and without noticing, you're kinder. And when you're kinder,
more kindness comes your way. Yeah,
exactly. You're bringing kindness.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. And again, to your point, when people try to and I don't know why it's the $1 million. Like if you're like, I want to manifest $1 million, everybody wants $1 million, but you don't really believe that you can get $1 million. So it's very difficult. So I love what you're saying, where start with something smaller, something that you can believe in, something that you're not so attached to, something that's not so specific that now you're on the clock. You're like, oh, is this happening? Is this not happening? When is it happening? How's it going to happen? Who's going to? Just start with smaller things and start getting used to believing, focusing on what you want. Again, something that you said, not focusing on what you don't want, which is usually our default way. I want a partner, but I don't want somebody who drinks. I don't want somebody who cheats. And why are you focusing on what you don't want? Focus on what you want. You want somebody who's kind, somebody who's loving, someone who respects you. So really being able to script and frame the things that you want the right way is very key, but also not being a specific where now you're anxious for it to happen or not happen. You don't really believe you haven't worked on that in a dialogue that we were talking about earlier, where all the negative talk is happening. Who the hell do you think you are? $1 million. You haven't even made $1,000. You want $1 million.
Right.
You don't want all of that negative stuff to happen, because like you said, the universe doesn't know, it can't tell the difference. Like if you're in your subconscious mind is saying, who are you to have $1 million? And that's what it is. You're not someone who has $1 million, so you're not going to get it. So it's a lot of things to work on. So like you said, be more aware. What are the conversations you're having with yourself? What are the thoughts that you're having, all the time? Work on your.
How do you start your day? Right.
Start your day with gratitude, so that more good things will come into your life that you can be grateful for. When you want to manifest or start using the law of attraction, focus on smaller things, more generic, vague things that have to do with more feelings, more loving relationships, kindness. I think that's a fantastic way to start, to really get on this journey, because like you said, it all starts with the mindset. Your thoughts are what creates everything that's happening in your life. So I think it's very important that we start focusing on that and becoming more aware and taking the right steps and thinking the right thoughts.
And when you're out of whack, when you're out of balance, take a moment to realign. They say that if you breathe for 5 minutes throughout the day, different times a day, just taking like 5, 6 breaths in quiet, not meditation even, just like taking to really fill up your lungs and empty out, like full deep breaths, taking a few for a minute, a few times a day, it'll help you recenter and realign, and it'll help you go back into that vibe that you want to be in, and you talk to yourself nicer. There's always 50-50, you know. You can always see, like, he's a very nice person, but he also said something rude. So what are you going to focus on? What are you going to look at? Are you going to look at this part of him or this part of him? Are you going to look at the weed in your grass, or are you going to look at that flower that just came out? What are you going to look at? Choose what you're looking at all the time.
I love it. You always have a choice. Yeah. And you can
Yeah.
choose. I love it. Okay, so finally, like mother of 3, entrepreneur, mindset coach, how do you balance it all? I'm sure some people are thinking, oh, I'm sure she's got help or she's got this, but seriously, how do you do it all? How are you able to do all of the stuff that you do and still have a balanced life and still support so many other women to find themselves, their fulfillment, their authenticity, and actualize their dream life?
And throughout the years, it became with a lot of things, but it all started with my morning routine.
Okay.
The way I wake up in the morning, noticing the way exactly everything we spoke about now, believing that I can choose, believing that I have a choice, believing that I'm not a victim, believing that, yeah, I can look at the coffee that's spilled, or I can say, you know, thank God I have another capsule in there to make another cup of coffee for myself. Or it's just the tiny things. And, you know, let's say it this way, crap happens all the time. Things fall on our lap that are not comfortable and not convenient, but that's how we grow. And that's how when we put less focus on them and be like, oh, great, you knocked on the door today. Okay, well, sit over there. I need to pay attention to this right now and kind of move through. But like, just allow yourself to be kind to you. Be nice to you. And I have a morning routine that if I don't meditate in the morning, I tell my kids, like, you let mama meditate because I'm doing it for your own good. You know, it's like, I'm saving you. Trust me.
You don't want to see me the other way, yeah.
Exactly. But it's the way I know, for me, it's the way I start my morning. It's for me, it's the way just the fact that I take my coffee and even stand outside and breathe for like a minute. Not big things, the little things. 2 minutes. Fact that I go in and instead of being like, I can't believe I have all this to do, it's like, okay, I have all this to do. How am I going to plan it out? This can work with this, and this can work with this, and this, and just like arranging things like as if you're disconnecting yourself from it and arranging it like a puzzle. And then, yeah, part of your day you're on autopilot, but it's an autopilot that you chose to be on. So that is mostly the reconnection is so important. Reconnecting to yourself and realigning with yourself and allowing yourself to kind of get to know you, to have moments for you. And a lot of mamas are like, or busy people are like, huh, time for me. What are you talking about? Yeah, but you're driving in the car. You get to choose if you're focusing on your traffic, if you're putting on a podcast that inspires you, if you're listening to music, if you're doing Kegels, if you're a woman, or like contracting your abs and doing ab presses, or, you know, things like that. You have little moments. And once you realize, like, when I told myself, how dare he have, remember when I told you in the beginning, I looked at my husband like, how did he even have time to find an article? And I was like, dude, you didn't choose to find an article. Because yes, you would have 5 minutes to read an article if you chose to have that on your plate, right? If God forbid something bad happened, you would have time to take care of it, right? Time comes.
Yeah.
So be nice to yourself and have the time when it's something nice too.
Love it. Love it. Wow. Thank you so much, Sharon. So many insights today. And I really believe that a lot of our listeners would have learned a lot. And again, like Sharon was saying, baby steps. So don't put yourself under undue pressure. Baby steps. Start with a
Nice. Be
nice to
nice.
yourself, right? Always know that you have a choice. You get to choose what you want to do. And what was that thing you said again? No longer say I have to do stuff. That one, I really love that one. It's not about I have to, it's I choose to. That is more empowering for everyone. And I hope that we all keep learning and we get the transformation that we're looking for. But Sharon is a mindset coach. So if you feel like this message is really resonating with you, or you're feeling stuck, you really want to move forward, but you don't know how to move forward, I'll be sure to share her details in the show notes, and just reach out and start from there. Start on your journey today. You owe it to yourself, to your kids, to your family, because you can't give what you're not. So you have to work on yourself first so that you can be there to support your family or your parents, or whoever it is that you're taking care of.
Joan, I have an ebook for the inner dialogue. It'll kind of have everything in there, a step-by-step guide, give it more in depth, and we'll have it there to link if that's okay with you, because I really do want people to take this with them. I really feel like this is something, the inner dialogue is something that begins it all. Yeah. And I would love to share that.
Awesome. I'll happily share that with our listeners. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for being here with us today. Thank you for all the amazing work that you do, for all the lives that you're changing. We do appreciate it. We do see you. And we do need more people like you in the world to help make this world a better place for everyone.
I appreciate you, Joan. Thank you for having me. You are wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I will see you same time next week on iRise Conversations with Joan. Thanks for listening.